here.
Where else would we be?
I'm saying
We started at the bottom and now
we're at the top. We are now live at.
That's not how the lyric goes, Mo. It's
No.
now we here, not we're at the top. It's
know.
implied you're at the top.
I know. We're finally here. Playoffs have arrived. Welcome to the Div C podcast, calling the Audible. I'm subbing in for the man who's probably working on his back on Fidel's territory in Cuba, Justin Blanchard Mokan. Alongside with me, the man. Well, I used to call him Rick Santorum back in the day. Oh man, you should have seen Eagle. Have you seen the look on
When he was Santorum? I remember that.
Please welcome Rick Santorum and then
Oh my god, that face.
Yeah, but
Priceless.
it was just so out of character.
Throwback Thursday.
Yeah,
there you go. We're bringing
that's another thing for the historical topics there that we discuss.
Rick Santorum.
The terrible nicknames that Mo has given people over the years.
I was separately Luis Suarez on 2 different occasions.
Yes.
I've been small balls, I don't know how many times.
Oh, you are the multiple champion small balls. Anyway, it is Div C playoff time. We are now here. This is where the real deal begins for a lot of these teams. Some bye weeks for those involved and teams that will play this week. But before we get to GM, let's recap the week that was in week 10. Some things that caught your attention from this past week.
Yeah, so Royals played Texas Bearmans this week that just passed, and I'm of the opinion, and was waiting for you to ask me what I learned.
What did you learn, GM?
I learned that if Texas Bearmans put Kwesi Gordon-Mall at quarterback, say 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, 100% they make playoffs. It was a totally different team to look at. We'd sort of discussed the idea of Khalil Kerr, who's been doing so well in Division D, as a potential replacement to the struggling Mike Roy. But putting Kwesi back there, man, just very efficient reads, takes away half the field when he takes off on a run. Mm-hmm. So you're not sure if you want to contain or sort of try and limit his running ability. Jalen Grandison at snap. It was honestly a totally different Texas Bearmans team than we've seen for the past 9 weeks.
So Mike Roy should stick to doing the playoff standings?
If he has time, yes, he can do that. But we spoke about it last week with the Captain Obvious comments from Mokan. I think Mike Roy's at the end of his time as a quarterback in FPF. I think he might be better suited as a receiver. Snapper.
Yep.
But I don't think he can go any further.
A formerly dominant receiver on the Monarchs, played for the Demons in Division 1 as well.
For sure.
So I think it's more he's having trouble getting on the same page as his receivers, and it's not, as we see here, it's not the NoName receivers he's having trouble with. It's not the Texas Bearmans receivers that he's having trouble with. It's getting in sync and finding that. I don't know if it's that his expectations are too high or there's a little bit lack of follow through, but you saw right away what was able to be done with these athletes on Texas Bearmans under Kwesi so quickly.
Well, I brought that point up to you and Justin, I believe 2 weeks ago, where I said that it felt like he didn't have the man of the huddle. And you made the point, right? You have a litany of weapons to work with, and you're having them run 10-yard outs. That's not their strength. It's give them the ball and let them do their thing. And as I said to you before, Jim, I believe that he probably is at the end of his track as a quarterback, and maybe the transition to
2-3 seasons now. Not much more than that.
Not even. I think it's done now because it just feels like he,
or at least maybe like not an absence, like a sabbatical, but just sort of taking a break.
I just don't know if he can do it. That's the thing. With talent, with that type of university level talent, guys are one step away from the CFL. If not, you cannot max out their potential. It's time to move on. I think that's what it is. Game that I saw that I score kept was Junkyard Dogs winning over the Backyard Boys quite easily, 38-19. Vinny Galano got an OC, but Jason Rossi peaking at the right time here with what he did. And I mean, like you look at his stats: 14-16, 6 TDs, 166 yards passing. This was an easy win for Junkyard Dogs. I thought they got into the skin of the Backyard Bullies. Bullies never got into rhythm, and you now go into the playoffs stumbling in. You know, if you were the Backyard Bullies, but for the Junkyard Dogs, I think GM they're peaking at the right time going into the tournaments.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. To lean back towards Backyard Bullies first, it almost seems, not even almost, like I have the impression right now that they're having a lot of trouble getting over Steve Sanders' injury. It's absolutely devastating. It's changed this team completely, but I think that right now, mentally, it seems like at least some members of the Backyard Bullies right now just sort of feel like this season, the shot that they had is now over.
Steve's not coming back?
No, he's out for the remainder of the season, at least minimum.
Kevin St. Pierre, when I spoke to him after that loss on Tuesday, was not happy with the sort of body language and discourse that it seemed that the team is now going on. He just seem to say like we're done.
Yeah, but he shouldn't talk though, because he's coming to me on the sideline asking me about the All-Star voting. I go, Kevin, I don't know. You focus on your game,
But
dude.
no, that's the point. Is that like winning doesn't see, or like going far in the playoffs? It doesn't. I don't know if it doesn't seem like a
Individual
priority. It
agendas
doesn't
are
seem
more
like an
priorities.
eventuality for them.
For sure. I just think that there's more of an individual agenda. Like Vinny Galano shouldn't take an OC. I mean, you're in a tight game, and whether there's physicality, which there was, going both ways. I know Vinny's the type of guy that loves to get under people's skins, as we've seen before, but this time he should have just kept his mouth shut and gone forward with what they had, because when he went out, GM, I was calling Simon for some reason. Yeah. Oh, God. It just felt like the air was let out, and they just never mentally or physically recovered, and Junkyard was able to control the whole tempo of this game.
This core, it seems they motivate off each other, they feed off each other. So when they're doing well, they're exceptional. They're one of the top teams in this division. They have been whenever they play, wherever they register. But this core, when they struggle, it just seems to all fall apart like a house of cards.
If I had to tell you that between Junkyard Dogs and Backyard Bullies, it was the Bullies that were going to get unraveled first, would you believe me?
Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, I would have laughed at you. We both would.
I think Carmen Police, his influence on this team for Junkyard Dogs has been tremendous. I think he kind of, what he does is that he takes the stress onto him to allow everyone else to be themselves and play football.
I like that. They were strong when they first added Carm. Then there was a bit of a dip, and now they've become strong again. So I think that influence as well has Carm has sort of helped Jason Rossi evolve when things don't go right.
Yeah.
So we've talked about that when things go right for Junkyard Dogs, they're incredible. But when they struggle, it's game over. And it seems like Karma's helping him through that, helping him not write off the games and turn it around. And that's where a lot of these comeback victories or dominant performances are coming from. He's adjusting a lot better.
What else did you learn from this past week in terms of games that you saw from scorelines?
It's going to be a fun playoffs. A lot of teams are very evenly matched. We see the matchups here, the 4 and 6 seeds. We have the top 2 of buys, but it's anyone's game at this point.
Well, before we get to that, right? NoName commission. Once again, NoName having the number of the commission, winning 30-26. And I watched this game from my sideline at Papineau Monday night. And as I explained to you off air, and I think we have these guilty pleasures to see these like so-called top teams fall by the wayside. And I think in this scenario with the commission, I mean, they were the lead horse.
I got to disagree with you on that because that means that I'm next, and I don't.
Well,
like
I mean, from
I think we agree that we like seeing these rivalries or a team that's easily undone by another team. When you would think that on paper the matchup shouldn't be close.
We love the David versus Goliath battles where David comes out on top.
But in reality, is this really a David versus Goliath when you look at the body of work for both these teams here? I mean, what has commission done to generate that Goliath moniker?
Statistically, they're the better team.
On paper, they have third,
but that's
right?
that's what we use as our comparison.
But the body of their success is what, though? A third-round run?
Offensive dominance,
early
efficient
exits.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the
body
as a
work.
franchise.
As a franchise, right?
Okay. I thought we were discussing this specific
But the
commission
present day,
team.
yes, they're loaded.
Okay.
There's no question, Jim. You've seen this team. There is talent through the seams, but I know they're missing AJ Gomes and Matt Petroni in the game. That's fine.
And you can argue NoName hasn't done well in playoffs either.
No, they have, but they did beat the commission.
They come with playoff upsets.
Yes, and you look at that game. You're up by 2. You're driving to go perhaps by 8, if not 9 points in the total. You take an OC. You move back. You turn over the ball. You give Christian Starantola that 5 plays. They scored. They win. And looking in the sidelines in the end zone and seeing Brent Bach and Sean Avram, it looked like they just lost their dog. And it was like, what is going on here? And that's why the playoffs are going to be so intriguing to see how these teams on the bye react coming back in 2 weeks' time.
You think Sean would have learned his lesson with the intentional but yet again.
Eagle never forgets.
They're like the Atlanta Falcons, though, right? I mean, minus the playoff run last year, they've had mediocre success at this point in the season.
Leave it to Justin to be gone for us to have an Atlanta Falcons reference on this show.
That's right. But look at not to bang on the commission too much here, but look at the last few games.
28-3.
Yeah, that's it. Look, GM, if you look at the last few games here for the commission, they lose to NoName. They beat Friends in Low Places by 13, but they had to score 41 points in the second half to win that game when they were down by 14. They lose to Show Me Your TDs by 4. They barely beat Backyard Bullies by 1, and they beat Impeccable D, which is a good team, by 10. They've sort of stagnated, if not stumbled, into the playoffs with a bye week coming up, which may benefit them with the off week for this time.
Yeah. Is there a question attached to that, or are we just discussing the fact that they've sort of been up and down? Okay, discuss. Yes, they have been up and down. I think that anyone will tell you that now is definitely the right time to be having this turmoil rather than later. You don't learn much by going 10-0, and unfortunately I say that realizing what my words kind of mean, but it's true. Like, going into the playoffs right now, Commission have seen where they're weak, and they can adjust to that.
You would hope so, right?
Well, you hope, yeah. And I think that I'm not going to write them off at this point because of a backwards entry to the playoffs and stumbling against top teams in the division, of which they are one of them, but they're not the only ones to the throne. Show Me Your TDs have not come out of nowhere, but they're making a solid name for themselves week after week. Jagerbomb or keep doing what we're talking about, where they start off slow and just enter the playoffs on fire.
And we've always seen this on dominant teams when they go into the playoffs on like a perfect record. It's one of two things: either they sweep everyone along the way to the championship, or they hit that one team, they have a bad matchup, they just don't show up, and they get dominated.
It goes back to that point. It's a guilty pleasure of ours, right?
Yeah.
As great as you want to see a team be built up and go 8-2, 9-1, 10-0, you kind of want to see that early upset, because this kind of opens up the Pandora's box.
You then have no idea what the next playoff scenarios are.
That's why I'm fascinated to see if NoName, and we'll talk about it right now in the next few minutes here, if NoName does win their first playoff game, we might see that collision course. And before that game on Monday at Papineau, I said it was a 30-70 chance NoName would win. I'm putting this at 50-50 if they play each other again.
Okay. So definitely something for us to follow up on.
Definitely. Let's talk about the playoffs here. We'll go with the first game here. Leading off the show, Smash Bros. Philp. Bros won 24-22, and I score kept that game.
Rough game.
It was an ugly game for both teams. And bringing my point about Jonah Cohen, I mean, look, do you think this team has lost its confidence with him on the offensive scheme of things here? 13 INTs in the last 6 games. He's been below 50% in 7 straight games here. His numbers have not been up there.
Those are Mocan numbers.
Those are more Simon Dagenet. Let's correct yourself there, Eagle.
He had a good trend the last few games, actually.
Yes, you did. That's because I upped the stats. But you look at Jonah Cohen here. Where do you see his mindset going into this playoff game?
Unfortunately, Jonah Cohen right now on Smash Bros. Does not look like the Jonah Cohen of last season's Prestige Worldwide or the Smash Bros. Of previously. He doesn't have his safety blankets in Dylan Coutelier and Paul Santash, and I don't know if it's that Jonah is bad for this core of Smash Bros. Or this core of Smash Bros. Does not highlight what Jonah is good at, and pair that with the sort of elevated defenses that he's now not used to seeing in Division C, and games are slipping away from him.
But you look at the core of this roster. Smash Bros. Added a lot of outside guys. Justin Lerner.
Right now, it's just Joe Cano and Jonah, and Cohen, who were previously on this team before.
Right, the original guys, right? But they added new guys. I mean, but it's 10 weeks in, GM. You should have that rapport with your team by now to be ready for playoffs. I'm kind of flabbergasted by how
they made playoffs. That's something.
Right, but they're stumbling in, though. They're not dominant. They should be on paper, guys. We've seen the success of these players individually be well, but now they're not. They're stagnated somewhat.
You see that there's, I guess, a ceiling for chemistry, and some matchups the ceiling is very high, and in this one, even with the chemistry that they have right now, it doesn't seem that they're a good fit for each other. The defense has been not quite lights out, but a solid defensive outing. Kyle Pedvis, who's going to be missing from this game, is
that's rough.
Yeah,
that's not easy.
So I think that they need to resolve the offensive issues, because one of their key strengths on defense is now suddenly lacking.
So, flip side, Danny Demore, does he need to win this game with his legs or his arm? And I've seen him quite a bit this year, and he's done both very well, but I just feel like something has to be over the top.
What? I think it's even just the pairing of both, because one will open up the other. If Danny's running and the short gains aren't there, he always has that option to air it out. And the same if the deep ball's not there, the short hooks aren't there, Danny has the option to roll out and either create plays. He can extend plays or create plays, or he can take off on a run, which is equally devastating.
He can also play on defense and get some picks and get some possession time in their favor,
which he does very well. I mean, he's their franchise guy. Let's not kid ourselves here.
He had a nice pick this week in the game of the week, about 5:20 into the video. Nice.
Thank you for the precise time there, Eagle. That's why you're here. You're good with numbers.
I watched it a few times. I was like, that's a nice pick.
I'm sure you have. I'm sure you watched the replay on your phone, your iPad perhaps.
Yeah, retweeted it. Hashtags.
Yeah, Instagram. Who knows? Looking at Smash Bros, we talk about Lerner and Kano, how important they will be. You lose Kevin Filima you lose Vlad Puris for the season with a broken arm. How big of a loss is he, given that he was able to be that, I guess, flex player in defense, right?
Sorry, wrong player. Yeah, you're right, Kevin Filima.
Yeah, I thought that was Vlad Puris that broke his arm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I missed Vlad Puris, not Kevin Filima. But you look at that, you lose Vlad Puris. How important is Joe Cano and Justin Lerner to this whole team now, and being more of a forefront players trying to help this offensive defense make plays?
I think right now, with the discussed issues on the defense, they really need to come through, make those key catches when Jonah's struggling, when he's either rolling out and trying to find a read, and just coming up with those key catches. Lerner's been dominant in this division, in the lower divisions as well, and I think that he really has that potential as a two-way player in this game to break out for the Smash Bros.
I think Lerner, I like Lerner a lot, and he has a FPF title experience in winter season 2 years ago, I believe it was. I think that could carry them over the top. I think he can make a lot of clutch plays. So it's 3rd and 7, and they need that first down. He's their go-to guy this weekend.
We've mentioned as well on the podcast previously, Justin and I, that we've consistently felt that John Garfinkel has been sort of underutilized on this team.
He's
as
really
well.
good, by the way.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah. So
it was only recently that we saw him even playing offense full time on this team, and that's something that should have been addressed earlier. At this point, it looks like, despite being the lower seed, Friends in Low Places are arguably the favorite for this game.
So can you name me one Philp receiver that could have a dominant game? Because there really isn't a guy that you look at their roster stats-wise, there really isn't an imposing player. But is there one guy you think can be that guy?
Justin Santillo. Justin Santillo has the height to sort of throw up the ball on a fade consistently, and he'll come down with it. The only person that I think that on the Smash Bros team could challenge him for that is Justin Lerner, as you mentioned. But then if you're tying Lerner to Santillo, Danny has the knowledge to sort of hit Mike Timmis. He has Alex Gray. He has the different resources that he can dink and dunk and move the ball while Lerner is occupied with Santillo.
So balanced attack is there.
Absolutely.
You really think there's going to be a high-scoring game?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. And we'll get our picks at the end here, but I don't think it will be a high-scoring game. I don't think we're looking at a 45-42 shootout here. This is more
13-12.
Not 13-12, but I think low high teens, low 20s is more likely than not. I think you'll see a lot of stalled drives, and we'll see how that plays out. Patrice Linder, will he have more TD catches or drops this weekend?
Drops.
Why not both? Give me 2 of each.
2 TDs and 2 drops, man. But you know what? He'll emphasize, oh, bro, I got 2 touchdowns. But you had 2 drop balls
on 3rd down and 3rd and 10.
And the game was over. You guys were down by 45 before 5 plays when you had the 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, but 2 TDs.
Bro, I got 2 touchdowns. All right, whatever, man. Junkyard Dogs, no name. Dogs won 25-0 in the first week of the season. Jason Rossi, 4 TDs, 109 yards passing. Yannick Dotson no longer there.
Yeah, so I guess we write off this result completely.
Yeah, 93 yards passing. Okay, so did No Name Run have their championship extravaganza by beating Commission? Do they have enough in the tank to now make a run in the playoffs?
Well, considering they know if they win, they get to see the Commission again.
Which I hope.
No, that's a motive because mathematically, that's the only matchup they can get.
Yeah.
So I think that right there as a motivator has got to be huge, and might take them into this with a chip on their shoulder.
I hope. Look, I hope. And I like Junkyard Dogs. I hope they go far. But I deep down, I just want that Commission No Name game just to see if we see No Name do what they've done the last couple of seasons, and they're. I'm not saying they're pretty in terms of their football style, but they win ugly, GM. And I think in this game against Junkyard Dogs,
it's necessary.
They have to slow it down. They have to muck it up against Junkyard Dogs. They cannot allow Jacob Burnett to get open down the wide flanks. They can't let Carmen Police. But you know what? If you had to pick the lesser two evils, who would you allow to make more of a statistical production, Burnett or Police?
Burnett. If you're asking me as someone who's calling defense, and unfortunately there's a likelihood that Royals will play Junkyard Dogs, but if you're asking me who I would key in on more between Carm and Burnett, Honestly, I would key in more on Carm. I think that he is not necessarily the potential for more big plays, but he's the potential for consistent play after consistent play. I think he has like the reception. He used to have the reception record in a game for something ridiculous until Yanni Lehrer broke it.
Yeah.
But like he is statistically in the season, like he it's not unheard of for him to consecutively have 10 reception games, 12 reception games. So he's capable of that production.
So
I've seen the chemistry between Jason Rossi and Jacob Burnett fail. So in that instance, when things aren't necessarily going well for him, I've seen that implode before. So that's why of the two, I would probably pick Carm as the one to defend against.
Take away Burnett, take away the deep play, force them to drive the field, play a clock game.
Well, in that case, right, you look at this game here. Dogs have scored 30-plus points 6 times this year, high scoring offense. You made a point before, Alex. I said they have to muck it up here. So does this defense really have to get physical with this Dogs offense and try to minimize anything off the line of scrimmage here?
I don't think that's a winning game for NoName. I think it would be much more in their favor to sort of just slow the clock down while on offense and have Junkyard Dogs trail and sort of try and come back. Like, have Junkyard Dogs make gambles. Chew out that time clock and work from there.
Well, you look at Junkyard Dogs defense, right? They have 18 INTs. They have 2 sacks from playoff eligible players this year, which is kind of a low number to have here. But how do you played him? How do you counter Christian Sarantola, who, when you look at it, right, he's sort of like a hot and cold player. When he's on, as he was on Monday against the Commission, incredible. But when he's off, that look on his face is priceless when he's frustrated. So how do you play him?
And it really doesn't help that they have 2 combined playoff eligible sacks at this point. Having a rusher who's capable of breaking down in front of Christian, not necessarily taking away the passing lane per se, but just limiting his exposure to the outside of the field. Because when he rolls out, even if he doesn't run, he's still efficient at hitting down the sidelines. He's efficient at hitting those crossbody posts, just sort of keeping him in the pocket.
But does that work, though? I mean, GM, he runs that gimmicky Oregon read option stuff. Is that not a waste of a body, though, in the backfield?
No, there's far less of that, the read option, and more of, say, like comparable to how Rod Mesh Tube rolls out in Division A. They have that same sort of rollout, trying to get someone free and then chucking the ball downfield.
So that Rod Mesh Tube has more of an accurate arm than...
Okay, but it's still that same sort of offense. And if you have 2 combined sacks right now, the Junkyard Dog defense is going to have to think of something to mitigate that.
So is anyone besides John Grizzly going to scare this Junkyard Dog defense? Because I don't see anyone across the board. Maybe Ainsley Adams, but he's so inconsistent where you see him one game, he disappears for 4 games.
So your question is there anyone that they really need to key in on?
Or does anyone beyond Grizzly scare the Junkyard Dogs?
I don't think so. I don't think that the Junkyard Dogs are scared of this team at all. I just think it's going to be a closer matchup that they're anticipating than going in.
It's going to be a fascinating one. Let's put it that way. I think it's going to be one of those mucker whips, where it's going to be mid-20s. If there's a point spread, which we do have.
Okay. The official Mocon point spread.
Well, I'm just making a point here because you guys put a gimmick for the fall Champions League.
It's not a gimmick.
I'm just saying that I would have used proper point spreads. I would have had some different point spreads for that one. Anyway, that's another story for another day. Impeccable D, Red Wave. The Impeccable D boys won 2019. Jeff Rosenblatt, 3 TDs. Mario Pareca, 2 TDs, 108 yards passing. So you look at Red Wave, 0-4 start, 4-2 to finish off the season. Mm-hmm. Are they hitting their stride, and are they now having lightning in the bottle where they're going to be dominant in the playoffs?
I don't know if they're necessarily hitting their stride, but they're starting to play more like we expected them to play.
Which was what, though, in your mind?
A team that probably could have been a 3 seed, if not a 2 seed. They've been very, very efficient. Mario Pareca has top division talent on his team that he's had trouble connecting with. There have been a lot of costly drops on this team, players arriving late, having sort of short rosters.
So tardiness,
punctuality. Just disorganization of a general nature. And I think that this team really could have been a lot better, and I think that they'll be the first ones to tell you it as well. This is a team that probably could have gone 8-2.
So they've underachieved in your mind,
without a doubt.
4-6, pardon me.
Without a doubt.
So in your mind, let's say they met your expectation levels. You say 2-3 seed. That's what, 7 wins?
Yeah, 7-8 wins. Absolutely.
So they could have easily been a 7-win team, and perhaps holding the bye week then playing the opening round of this week.
They're definitely. We discussed potential dark horses previously, and I don't think that they're a dark horse if we had these expectations of them and they didn't fulfill them, and now they're suddenly playing well. I think that this is a team that needs to be talked about a little bit more because they are that good and just haven't been playing that way up until now.
Well, I think they're flush with talent. I just believe, and you made a great point though, right? They haven't met their expectations, right? They've underachieved, and they never got going until pretty much from week 5 onwards. And you saw they went 4-2 the last 6 games of the season. But you just imagine if they had that bye week, what we could be saying about them now. That hey, maybe this is the team that could go to the finals. I'm still on that fence about where I see them now at this juncture of the season. But you look at Mario Pareka and what he's done. Like 5 times he's been below 55%, and the only time he's completed 20 passes was against your Royals.
And even in that game, like players were, Rafi Detella dropped a wide open post for 6. Travis and Jordan Moses, there were drops everywhere in that game. Like I'm fairly, if the Red Wave receivers caught passes in that game, Royals would have lost 100%.
And in your mind, then, do we see the good or bad Mario this week? Because
it's not Mario.
But the thing is, though, GM, who's throwing the football, right?
Yeah.
You can blame the receivers all you want, but at the end of the day, it's going to be on the quarterback. Because look, we don't have ESPN where we can watch every single game and say, okay, well, the receivers dropped the ball. At the end of the day, everyone's going to say, well, the quarterback didn't come through when he had to. So which Mario Pareka do we see then?
Did they drop the ball literally or figuratively?
Probably both.
Yes.
Probably both.
Which Mario Pareka do we see? At this point, this was... Because the Impeccable D's D is quite frustrating, and they're a top-tier team in and of themselves, so I don't know how much will be on Mario's shoulders as much as the Impeccable D stepping up and capitalizing.
And do you believe they can do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is going to be a great close game.
So out of the 4, without picking a team yet, are we looking at maybe perhaps this being a 4 or 5 point victory here?
If not a 1 or 2.
So it comes down to extra points then?
Yeah, absolutely. It may very well come down to converts in this game.
Like crazy as this sounds, I'd rather go for 2 every single time. And my theory is this, and GM, you've seen it, Alex, you've seen it, right? Teams kind of freeze up when they're down 8-0 then 6-0.
Yep.
Because they're like, oh my God.
And I'm trying to play in my head right now who would be more efficient at consistently going for 2, and I think that Red Wave have the advantage on that. Yeah.
Exactly. And I just feel that in this scenario right now, that mental game will probably creep into someone's mind saying, oh my God, we're down 14-6 as opposed to 12-6. That's like a 2-score lead, essentially, when you think about it. And I think it'll come down to extra points, and I think 2-point converse will be the key in this matchup.
So it's not in the script, but I have a question for you then.
Yes.
The Impeccable D, we've seen the versatility that they have the option of putting either Marty Friedman, who's been...
The Marty Party.
Yeah, exactly. The Marty Party for the bulk of the season. But when they need, they have Ryan Aridi, who's able to step in and rush.
Absolutely.
Against Mario, who would you rush?
It's a good question. Like, I think Aridi can be problems because he's low to the ground and he can really keep Mario in the pocket and not give him that extra split second here. I just think at this moment, when you look at their body of work here, I think this might be a collective where Marty Party will get maybe the first 2 downs, maybe on a 3rd and 1 you go with Ryan Aridi because of his speed and his get off from the rush bag. And I think you have to keep Mario honest in that sense.
Keep him guessing
about, okay, well, I have Marty rush me. All right, I got to decide to go to this guy. But if Ryan's going to rush me, I got to be much quicker in my reads and get the ball out of my hands ASAP. If I don't, then we're not going to make plays. So I think we see a collective effort, but that's all on this defense to think like that. Because at this point, GM, you know what it is, man. Every small error that you make could transcend the game into a bigger margin, and that may not be. You might not be able to catch up to that point at that point in this game. So I think it'd be a collective issue with those guys. Brothers, who do you take? If you had to pick 2 of them, the Moses brothers or the Reedus to make plays for you this weekend, who would it be?
This weekend specifically, I guess I'm going to go with consistency and my own personal bias and just pick the Aridi brothers. I think they're capable of doing more.
Yeah.
They will both have a significant impact on this game, and will probably be the shoulders that the rest of the Get Off My D team lean on to win this game.
I think the Moses brothers are better athletes, but I think the Aridi brothers are better teammates, if that makes any sense. I think they're better for the overall composure of the group.
Or how about this? The Moses brothers are better explosive players, and the Aridas are better football players.
You said it, not me.
Okay.
No, what I'm saying though, right? If you're looking for that 20-yard post play or that deep in play, Travis and Jordan are probably second to none when it comes to that, right? But if you're looking for that 3-1 conversion,
You check it down to Jad right away.
The gritty contested catch.
Jad's big shoulders can haul in that ball, right?
And we've seen that on the big stage or during key times, these are the players who step up and make it happen most.
100%.
Those contestable balls, Jad would fight for it for his life, whereas one of the Moseses would look for the ref for a flag. That's the way I see it.
Oh, are you calling them out? Are you saying they're a bunch of chickens?
No, I'm just saying
I think
that
you are.
any type of contact, whatever it is, where they don't catch it, the first thing's going to be ref. Where's the flag? Whereas Jad would take it on himself.
Eagle said it.
Are you questioning their toughness then? I think your Jim, is he not questioning their toughness?
No, I think... Don't put me on the spot.
I am. Jim, you are the analyst here. You have to be put on the spot here.
I think that, the Aridis are going to make those catches and make those contested plays when the time comes.
But we're asking, are the Moses brothers soft?
No.
But he said they're soft.
Okay.
I never said that.
You said that they're going to complain about taking physical contact.
You may have heard it, and
you know what?
I may have thought it, and it may be true,
man.
but I
Jordan's
never said
gonna
it.
But I don't have, but by that same discussion, I don't have any trouble picturing Jad calling for hey, ref.
What is this, ref?
Let's go! Let's go!
Come on, ref. Let's go.
It can go either way.
Mr. Moses come after you. Where's that guy? Hawk. It's Eagle. Whatever.
I'm not sure if I want to be a hawk or an eagle. Can I be a falcon?
Wasn't it the anniversary this week?
28-3.
It was.
It was the anniversary this week. We can redo that whole thing again.
That was wonderful.
Needs GM to wear this Angels jersey and we're set.
I spent an hour doing those playoff standings in the different scenarios, only for the Incredibles to lose in the first game and make it all for naught.
Yep.
Amazing. I'm glad you wasted all that time. Jagerbomb, show you.
It was the UPS show.
Yeah, it was. That's right. What can Brown do for you? And then the suits up in Jean Talon gave us the kibosh from that.
Hashtag TBT.
Yes. Jagerbomb, show your TDs. The Bombs won 22-19. Simone Duchesne, 3 TDs. The Dupree-Adana duo had 143 yards passing. Now, the biggest question I have for you is, which quarterback gives show me your TDs the best chance to win in the playoffs? Not this week, but in the playoffs. They have a big conundrum here with this.
I think it's got to be Jesse Dupree. I did the math and checked it both ways. Either way, they are eligible. They fit under the cap, whether Jesse plays quarterback and Mike plays receiver, whether Mike plays quarterback and Jesse plays receiver, or they both throw. They mathematically are under the cap in every possible instance.
Yeah.
But I think that right now, especially against this Jagerbomb team, it should be Jesse Dupree. Jesse Dupree has faced them in the finals. He's unraveled this team. He knows where they're strong. He knows where they're weak, and he can avoid that.
That was a good game, by the way.
Yeah, it was. So I think that I don't know if necessarily just for this round or throughout the playoffs, because once you have someone in at the playoffs who's hot, you're not going to switch them.
No, you won't.
So I think that at this point, it's got to be Jesse Dupree. Mike Adana is a great, smart receiver as well. He knows how to sneak between coverage and get open.
But why play him in the last game, though? Why have him throw?
At the end of the day, it's still his team, right?
I understand, but you're coming off upper body injury, right?
Okay.
You haven't thrown, for 5-6 weeks?
So if you want to find out if you're capable or not, I suppose that week 10,
Week 10 is better than playoff number 1.
Guaranteed into the playoffs.
You have Alex David and Jesse Dupree, and David did a pretty good job watching him play for Show Me TDs. But why alter that chemistry? If you know, I like Mike. I think he's a good football player, but you're coming off a shoulder injury. I'm not saying that he's going to come in there and take over. I think he's a team guy through and through.
Yeah, but week 10 is exactly that. Let's test out my shoulder. Let's see if I can go a full game. If I can, great.
But let's say he does. Let's say he went 12 for 12 at 4 TDs.
So why wouldn't he play week 1?
But that's not a good problem.
In the alternate universe that Mike Adana in week 10 coming off of a shoulder injury went 12 for 12 for 4 TDs, 0 INTs, I would absolutely play him every game in the playoffs.
Yeah, but that, for me, that's a false litmus test.
It's rookie of the year, isn't it, where he slips on the baseball and he breaks his arm and then he becomes
becomes a Cy Young winner like 25 times in a row. But
you want that problem. Basically, if your quarterback goes down and he's coming back, you want to give him limited reps at the beginning to see if he can last, and then as it goes on,
have a better problem. You have a good problem with Alex, David, and Jesse Dupuis.
But they're not your quarterback.
I understand, but they have done relatively well, though.
If Garofalo had stayed healthy and then Brady comes back after got injured or whatever,
Tom Brady
back in?
Tom Brady's a 5-time Lombardi champion. What has Mike Adana done? Has he won any Lombardis in his career?
What have you done for me lately?
What can Brown do for you?
28-3.
Exactly. But the point I'm bringing up here is that, let's say Jesse Dupuis goes, I don't know, 3 for 15 first half. They're down 14-0. You go to Mike Adana or you go to Alex David then?
Mike Adana.
So you're going to live and die by the sword then with this whole process with Mike Adana?
Well, at that point, like, who do you put at snap then if you're taking Alex?
But
everyone, you're replacing one person rather than replacing every piece and then the one that just followed that before. So you move Alex David to quarterback. You have to put someone else at snap, and then you put Julien Bellavance at snap, and then you put someone else where Julien Bellavance. It disrupts the flow more.
But remember the old adage, you never lose your job to injury, right? Drew Bledsoe lost his job to Tom Brady, right? I'm not saying Alex David or Dupuis or Tom Brady, but at this juncture of the season, I just think it's kind of like an anchor holding down the team from maybe getting more success from the two guys who have carried the load from weeks 4 and beyond.
But it's not that they don't carry the load or contribute. Like, I'm sure Alex David would love to be catching 3 touchdowns a game the way he has been.
But he's
and
throwing
sort of
3 touchdowns a game.
He doesn't. But either way, he's producing.
I'd rather have him produce as a thrower.
Okay, cool. Write to Show Me Your TDs. Let them know.
Dear Mike Adana, GM and I had a conversation about who will throw. I like to see Alex David throw in the first half this weekend when you play your game.
Make it happen, please.
Please. Sincerely, your number one fan, Moe Khan. Jagerbomb's winners of 5 of the last 6 games here. They know how to get it done in the playoffs. They've gone to numerous finals. They've gone deep in the playoffs here. Are they the team that no one wants to face because of their playoff experience and what they can do at this point moving forward?
I don't think that they're, quote unquote, the team no one wants to face. I think that if you asked pretty much every playoff eligible team, who would you ideally want to face in the playoffs? I think probably everyone would say Jagerbomb, just because that, like, on paper or just by the eye test, you would naturally gravitate towards that, and not necessarily aware of how good Jagerbomb actually are when they're on fire.
Although I think Show Me Your TDs is a bad matchup for them.
Yeah.
In what sense? Elaborate.
Well, we've discussed the parity of all these matchups, so it's really great to be able to discuss it. But what Jagerbomb does well is mitigated by what Show Me Your TDs do well.
Okay.
So both teams are sort of neutralizing each other in their strengths in this one, and it's going to be a grind.
Is Carl Forbes one of the better defenders on this team, the X factor, and why Jagerbomb could win this weekend?
Is he the X factor, and why? He will be a contributor, but this game will absolutely, I think, be managed by Simon Duchesne. Either negative, like if they win, it will be on the shoulders of Duchesne, and if they do not, it will be on the shoulders of Duchesne, unfortunately.
This is one of those defensive matchups for Jagerbomb where their playbook is a whole bunch of moving parts all over the field, short, deep, crossing routes, everything. One player, I don't think, can make a difference. I think it really has to be a team effort to shut down the Show Me Your TD offense.
And just like on the shoulders of Mike Adana. I like that little segue there. From Duchesne to Mike Adana's shoulder.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
But it's not a segue if you end it right there.
I know.
You're supposed to continue with the segue. It segues into the next topic.
Games of the week.
That's why it goes on our shoulders now to make the picks of the week over here.
Here we go.
All right, here we go. 4 games.
You want me to read them out, or you want to do them?
You read them out. You're the producer. I'm this substitution teacher here.
Yeah, who made the spread picks over here.
More accurate than before.
Smash Bros versus Friends in Low Places. 2.5 points to Friends. Would someone like to go first?
Friends in Low Places win, but don't cover the spread.
Wow, they win by a point.
Yeah.
Or 2.
Yeah.
I think they win and cover.
Okay.
Interesting. We have the Junkyard Dogs versus NoName. 9.5 points to the Junk.
They don't cover the spread, and I'm not sure yet if they win or not, but they don't cover the spread.
I think NoName The spread angle, I think NoName. As much as I want to see them go through, I think Junkyard Dogs have too much firepower, and Brent Bach can be sending roses to Jason Rossi for defeating NoName.
That'll definitely be certain.
Mo, would you like Red Wave or would you like Impeccable D for 1.5 points?
Red Wave.
To win and cover, or just
To
cover?
win.
To win.
Yeah, to win.
Consistency. Give me Impeccable D. I'm fully of the opinion that Red Wave possess all the tools necessary to win this game, but will not do it.
And lastly, we just talked about it, the bombs of the Jaegers versus the TDs that are being shown.
I got Jagerbomb. I'll give them one playoff game.
If it matters, 4.5 points are favored to show me your TDs.
Yeah, give me that. Show me your TDs, yes, and they cover the spread. I'm sure it works out well for Jagerbomb, who like to be underestimated anyways and step up, but something tells me show me your TDs, especially with Jesse Dupuy's knowledge on the Jagerbomb team.
And with that, welcome to the wildcard round where the spreads are made up and the picks don't matter.
Yep.
That's correct. What did you learn in today's episode?
Learn that we can go off on tangents and discuss and sort of finally find our way back to whatever it is we're talking about, with or without segues.
That's true. That's very true.
I learned that we're not going to be able to cover the games that are going to be on Tuesday. Right, Monday or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. So, sorry for that. Our next show is going to be next Thursday, and then we'll be looking at the quarterfinal round.
Yeah, and Justin Blanchard will be back here after working out with Fidel Castro's army. Or maybe he joins the Cuban army. I don't know. Anyway, good luck to those teams in this playoff round. And perhaps we see our dream matchup, NoName and Commission, or maybe a different matchup or two along the way as the road to the road show begins August 6th?
6th.
Brawl starts Sunday night. Look forward to that, as we'll all be there for that. So best of luck to the teams that will make it through. And if you do, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Good night, Costa Rica.
Yeah.